Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube show, The Thinker's Corner. I'm your host Neeraj, and today we have Dr. Arvind Kumar with us. He is a lecturer at the Department of Law and Criminology, Royal Holloway, University of London. Dr. Kumar is also an Associate Fellow of Higher Education Academy, UK, and an executive member of the British Association for South Asian Studies, BASAS. He has recently submitted and completed his PhD on the candidate selection and voting behavior. His broader research interest includes caste ethnic inequality, electoral democracy, political behavior, and judicial politics. Previously, he has served as tutor in Department of Politics and International Relations as well as in Department of Law and Criminology. He also held position of guest lecturer at the Department of Political Science, Satyavati College, University of Delhi, and teaching assistant at the Center for Political Studies, JNU, New Delhi. Additionally, he is a regular contributing columnist of The Print, India Today, and First Post. So, Dr. Kumar, welcome to our show. How are you?
Thank you, Neeraj. I am very well. Thank you for hosting me.
So, could you please kind of start by and our audience an overview of your research, like background and focus of your thesis as well?
Yes. So I have examined how political parties mobilize voters through candidate selection. And for my research, I have taken Uttar Pradesh as case study and have tried to collect caste background of candidates data since 1989 assembly election. And then I tried to analyze what is larger shift in the caste background of candidate nomination, and then I have tried to test whether like shift in caste background of candidates, whether that's helps political parties or not. Particularly, I have looked the BJP's rise since 2024 and examined from two, from 2017 assembly election. I have examined whether party is able to mobilize voter, are able to gain uh, like support of voter by strategic nomination of candidates. So that is
The
large.
overview.
Yeah, that is in very brief I can say. That is my research, but when you will read thesis, it has like a very long story which will take at least one has to read more than 100 pages for like studying what is happening with electoral democracy. Particularly, I am interested in there is a growing research worldwide, and that is a very narrow area where attempt is made to look into the rise of right-wing parties and how they are mobilizing. So there are few explanations which says that populism, rise of inequality, and then anti-immigration, then anti-Muslim mobilization. All these are justification, but there is another uh, another like theoretical debate is going on in which there are very few research, which is a like growing area, is looking into mobilization against politicized ethnicity. So it is case in East European countries. So my larger research is basically also contributing in that area, which is mobilization against politicized ethnicity. So some countries, some communities, for example, in people who are migrated from Russia in Poland, there is active mobilization against them because they are politically more aware. So similarly, in India also there are some communities, for example, Maratha, Yadav, Jatav, they are extensively politicized social group. So there is mobilization against them. So that is a like you can say a global trend which we are witnessing, and we are just I have just tried to contribute in that area. And also like in a study of Indian democracy, there has been very little work on candidate recruitment, particularly. So initial work was done in from 1965 to 70. So few work was done during that period, and then 1985, and rarely after that an extensive study was done how parties recruit candidates. So that is another like larger area that after years of that someone has done extensive research on that area. Yes.
So yeah, so in this way, your research area and your PhD thesis kind of contribute widely after kind of lot of years of gap. So congratulate on that you have done a really excellent job in this discourse. As you have mentioned about the BJP politics and the rise of the gain of power in the political arena. So like your thesis also delve into the BJP's mobilization of marginalized caste, in particularly in Uttar Pradesh. Could you share some key findings and insights that you have kind of come across in your research in nutshell?
Yeah. So like one of the key findings is like from 1993 onward, there is like candidates have started extensively using their caste surname. So like in 1989 election, so when you will see, there was like around 40% candidates using their 50%, approximately it
Half of the population.
half of the candidates were using their caste surname, half of the candidates were not using their caste name. So that was like equal. But from 1993 onward, it had like candidates using caste surname has increased massively. It has increased, and there is like continuous trend after that. And people not using caste surname has declined over the period of time from 93 onward, which shows like how ethnic background of people have become very salient feature in election. So that's one important like key finding of my research is. And then there are like many more things, whether how voters identify. These are different topics like nuance debate on ethnic politics in comparative democracy, how candidates indicate their social background, and how voters, whether voters are able to identify their background. All these are a different story at all. And the second important finding is like about the composition of BJP's candidates. So there is a measurement in democracy which is called effective number of parties, which says that if number of parties if number of parties are increasing in democracy, what does it indicates? And if number of parties are decreasing in democracy, what does it indicate? So it is a measurement in a concept for measuring measurement in democracy, and it suggests that if number of parties are increasing in democracy, there is possibility of destabilization of democracy. So it is in larger comparative democracy, theories of comparative democracy. So based on that, I develop a measurement called effective number of caste. So whether that is increasing in political parties, and whether it is decreasing in political parties. And it appears that from 2017 onward, BJP is top in like effective number of caste of their candidates, which means that in terms of caste background of their candidates, they are highest diversified party. It is highest diversified party now, which was not the case in 1989. So like 1989, BJP was lowest in
diversifying the candidate selection.
Yes. In effective number of caste, party was lowest in 1989 and highest
in
from 2017 onward. So that indicates how party has been able to mobilize
marginalized caste voters.
Yeah, voters from across the caste, you can say. That's one thing. Along with that, it has been able to like, there is slightly apart from, there is anti-mobilization against politicized communities, which is another feature of means a global phenomena which we are witnessing.
If may I ask, like the year that you have selected for your research, like the time period?
Yeah, so 1989, after election which has happened in 1989, so it was 89 election, 91, 93, 96, 2002, 2007, 2012, then 2017, then 22.
So you are only focusing on the legislative elections?
Yeah, state assembly
state
elections,
assembly,
state assembly elections. Yeah. So basically, either you look or you look in depth. Yeah. So if you would be looking like, if you want to look whole India, then you can only look in a particular election. So for example, if you are looking, that is how studies are done in election studies. So either you go for deep or you go for breadth. So breadth, if you would be going, then one election. And if you are taking like deep study, then you will take only one particular state or one particular region. Earlier, like in 1970s, 60s, only one constituency used to be studied. But now the trend has changed. So whole state is studied and then going in deep, like back. So 1989 onward, I have.
Yeah, adding to this discussion of around your thesis and your key findings from your research area and your research topic. So, like, what kind of methodology or tools that you have adopted to kind of gain this finding? Because there are like multiple disciplinary in across the department and discipline. So we often see that there are particular kind of tools and methodology that they adopt, but in democratic behavioral study and in the political study basically, so what kind of like usually the theories or the scientists use?
Basically what is done nowadays, earlier for studying voting behavior, extensively data on survey data was used extensively, but now the trend has changed. And it has changed because of emergence of large data science. So data science has like provided a new tool through which you can digitalize election results. So which has been done in case of India and across the world. So completely a new shift has come up. But with that data, so if people have voted and result is there in on the website of election commission. Now it has been turned into Excel file by Francesca Argensenius and Christoph Jefferlot, and based on that they have done extensive research. So that is a new shift which has come from 2000 after 2010 onward. Like in last 10 years, there is like you can say there is upturn in the study of election and the democracy in India. That was case much more like it has already happened in Western democracy, but in India it has happened recently. Now another question is, then there are like variables which are there, which are given in the data. Now you can add further variable. Any researcher can add further variable in that and then come up with the finding. So like I have added one more variable, which is about like what is the exact jati of candidate. That can be one variable which I have added
in that Excel sheet.
And then someone easily you can find out what is the religion of candidates and then what is gender of candidate. Then few have done
social
background, another social background, what is the educational qualification of the candidates, what is gender of the candidate, and whether they are dynastic candidate or they are not dynastic candidate. All these kind of like, so once Excel file is complete, and then different researchers, like only one person cannot do that task. Multiple researchers would have been doing, like some looks into wealth of the candidate, some look renomination of the candidates, and then my colleague Disil is looking like what is the address of candidate, whether it impacts on voting behavior or not. So, for
Yeah, the local
example,
candidate
local
or the
candidate, outside candidate,
outside.
and if some if a candidates belong to one particular area, and whether people living around that area they vote in higher number to that candidate or not. So all these things are basically going on, and it has become like useful, or it has become easier because of emergence of
Data.
technology and data
Science.
interaction of data science technology. So, for example, nowadays a tool which was used in geography. So nowadays GIS is used for studying elections and other kind of social science research. GIS is used. There are like numerous software. So, for example, I have used Stata software, Excel, and then Stata. Nowadays I am using NVivo for like, if you have taken interview, that can be analyzed in by putting in NVivo in very good way. So those kind of things like we are using, like new kind of softwares we have learned actually here while doing PhD, like new software, and then using those softwares.
So like you have learned and also you are practically kind of applying in your research area.
Yeah, practically applying in the research,
That's great,
and
yeah.
along with that now teaching those softwares to students. Yeah, so that's another task.
Like also you have been a kind of a tutor, as you have mentioned that you are also teaching all these tools and methodology to the undergrad students. So like you have been a kind of tutor of South Asian studies like politics, and as also a visiting tutor at the Department of Law and Criminology. So how has this teaching experience influenced or complemented your research endeavor basically?
Yes, so actually like I started working as a tutor when I was near completion of my thesis. Thesis. But South Asian politics, this core module on South Asian politics, which is in my department. So they asked me to deliver some lectures and take some lecture and assist them in seminar. So I took lecture on caste and religion in Indian politics, and then I took lecture on affirmative action policies and
Of India.
in India, yeah, affirmative action policy. But also when you are teaching any course, then you have to give larger theoretical debate across the world. And usually what is done, so focus here remains that okay, you are taking India as a case study, but along with that you have to tell them if they want to do similar research, what lesson they can learn, how it can be done. So for example, like when I was teaching affirmative action policy, I came to know several research articles which I would have not come to know probably, or it would have taken 10 years or 12 years. I was under impression that okay, in affirmative action policy I know so many things. So when you develop this kind of attitude that okay, I know so many things, but there are like enormous studies which have been done and you do not know. So I learned quite a lot, and I used those articles. And recently, like I published an article in South Asia Research on affirmative action policies, like increasing demand for scheduled caste reservation among the different policies. And I like, after teaching that, because I came across several articles which are published in American Political Science as Review, and those articles, when I added those articles, and like this article became so enriching, so updated, means it has become second top most read article of South Asia Research. Like generally is existing since last more than 40 years, and my article is second top most read article. It has become like within 2 months of publication. So credit goes to basically
your teaching experience.
Teaching experience that opened a new vistas, and a student asked a different kind of questions. You are teaching, when you are teaching something, some issue, so teaching affirmative action policy to Indian students is completely a different experience. Means you will you will listen, hear different kind of questions. But when you will teach to foreign students who are not aware about
your reality,
this debate, okay, how caste would operate, how how inequality or untouchability will be operating, and then posing those questions and teaching them, it is a completely different phenomena. So for example, there is often debate, so telling students, like when you have to say that okay, a student will always be confused, okay, why there should be affirmative or reservation policy should be based on like some
social
caste background, rather than why it should not be based on economic criteria, for example, poverty. So you have to, like, you have to be attentive and for for like informing a student why this has been used and why this has not been used, for convincing a student, and they say that okay, this should be used, actually this is the reason. So for example, I took a picture of BBC, which was actually, I have organized like seminar debate based on that
documentary,
that picture only, one picture, and it was in cyclone which came in Gujarat, in Odisha. 2 years ago that cyclone came in Odisha, and because frequently cyclone hits in Odisha coastal region, so Odisha government has like built up shelter house, and those shelter house is constructed by IITs. So shelter house has been constructed, so whenever like cyclone hits, everyone evacuated, and they are placed in those safe shelter houses. And one woman from the Dalit community, she was not allowed to enter in shelter house, and she had to save her life. In there was a large tree which fell, like, because she was from untouchable community, so people pushed her away, and at that time, like, she did not know where to go, and fortunately for her life, a large tree fell actually, and she, along with her two kids, she was hiding in the root of that large tree, because the large tree has fallen, and it took so much like land from outside, roots outside, and she was hiding, survived there
under the tree,
and fallen tree. So it would have been impossible, like, to survive
in that condition,
in those conditions. And that picture was published in BBC, and it immediately, when I first time I struck with the picture came in front of my eye long ago. It struck in my mind that okay, whenever I will have to teach public policy and social policy, I will use, and that is the, like, that picture I used, and initially, like, initial question was that okay, so when most of the people agreed that okay, it should be an economic criteria, then I showed them picture and case study and said that okay, now you have to answer. And then, like,
everybody was stunned
there, like, because of based on the case study. So as a teacher, when we are teaching in universities, our job remains like one another task is that you have to be 24-hour attentive. Attentive of materials which you are seeing in your surrounding, in newspaper, in videos, all these things has to be used in classrooms. So that is
Attentive
how
as well as creative.
attentive as well as creative. Yes,
How you
because
can engage students with
yes,
that
yes. So
debate.
you have to like for engaging with the students, you have to be attentive and you should bring
New
material,
ideas, yeah.
new ideas, new material. So here they call effective teaching and learning.
Yeah, yeah.
So effective teaching and learning, for effective teaching and learning, there is no A method. Everyone has to be innovative
Participate.
and bringing like material from your everyday experience.
Like adding to this experiences of your as a tutor here at the Department of Criminology and Law, you also kind of serve as a guest lecturer at the Political Science Department at the University of Delhi. So my question is, how do you kind of compare the academic atmosphere and student engagement in the UK and India? Because you were talking about like here you need to be kind of more attentive as well as to be more creative to make them understand the topic that the students are not aware of. So how do you see that the difference between both of the
Actually, see,
reality?
initially I was tutor, then as a lecturer I joined. So when you are serving as a tutor, then you are supposed to assist a lecturer
Lecturer.
or senior lecturer. That is, this is the difference. So, and when you are lecturer, then you yourself run the module. So you are the boss of the module. You will design, you will decide what reading material should be given and everything. And you will design
So
lectures.
you can create module as well.
Yeah, so when you are like when you are
Lecturer.
lecturer, then modules are usually they are introduced and you are given that okay, this is module, and then you will decide what topic would be discussed,
Can be
what
included,
reading
yeah.
would be given, and everything you will have to add. Interesting thing is that you cannot add anything here which is not present in your library. So if reading material, you can only like subscribe those reading material which are in the library. And in India, all these things is completely different. Like you can teach anything, whether it is available in library or not available in library, and like it is completely different teaching experience. There is huge emphasis on inclusion. So, for example, you have to prepare lecture in advance, and whatever you are going to teach in class, that you have to prepare in advance and slides, and those slides have to be uploaded on Moodle. So students would be already knowing in advance that this is the thing we are going to be taught today. These are key concept which lecturer is gonna to introduce. You are just going in class and when if you are taking lecture, then you are going to just going to read your slides which you have presented and ask little bit question. You can just little bit explain. In tutor, you have to like you are not supposed to speak. It is students'
You
chance.
just assist
them. Yes, yes, to assist them. Whereas in like these things were not there in India. Yeah, so there only like I used to go in class and because you have only 1 hour. So in 1 hour, either you should finish your course or student can ask a question. If 5 students ask question, then
class is over.
Class is over. You cannot like complete your course. So that's a very difficult like comparison, a different comparison at all. Huge professionalism. And another important thing is that you are trained for teaching here, which is not the case. There in higher education academy, there in higher education, if you are getting job in higher education, you would be not trained at all. You have to go in classroom and just start teaching. Here that is not the case. Like continuous training goes on. So higher education academy, which is here, that is responsible for teachers training. So it provides like 4 kind of fellowship. So associate fellow of higher education academy, then fellow of higher education academy, then senior fellow of higher education academy, then principal fellow of higher education academy. So as you grow in your career,
you have to
simultaneously you would be training for like fellowship. So when I was tutor, then I got training, and then after successful completion of training, I was allowed associate fellow of higher education academy. Now I am a lecturer, so now I am getting training of fellowship of higher education academy, and next year I would become fellow of higher education academy. then after 3 or 4 years, like 4 year of training, you can apply for senior fellow, and then for 5 year you can apply for principal fellow. So that is how it goes on. So there is like continuous teachers training, which is not there in India. Like, so anyone goes there and then you have to start teaching. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very significant gap. We can see that here the constant efforts and kind of emphasize on the teacher training as well as on the kind of student learning process as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So you cannot teach anything which is not available in the library as well. So yeah, so moving to this conversation ahead, like could you share any example of topic that you have covered in your columns that you write, which has sparked some kind of a significant public interest or debate?
Extensively, like so many topics. So for example, judicial appointments. So judicial appointment is one such thing, like which has like impacted massively. So for example, I was the first person who wrote column why there should be reservation in judiciary. After long time, like I can imagine, uh, in 1990, I think 97 onward, there was effort to 97 onward, their effort got increased for like bringing people from marginalized caste and communities in higher judiciary. And first such attempt was done in 1985 onward during that period. And then when President K.R. Narayanan became president, and he had threatened that I will not sign appointment recommended by judiciary if you will not bring scheduled caste and scheduled tribe judges. And after that, K.G. Balakrishnan was appointed, and Justice H.K. Sema, first only scheduled tribe judge, was appointed. And most interestingly, when these interventions were made, you will hardly find, I did not find any kind of articles which was written in support of this, like bringing research insights and other thing, and saying that why
it is important.
caste diversity is important. That argument was like there wasn't like given. President said no one dare to. One thing was like probably people was also fearful of judiciary, like it can issue contempt notice. And so 2018 I wrote first article on that, why there should be reservation in higher judiciary. It was in Hindi and it got viral. I think 50,000 people shared it on social media.
50,000.
50,000 approximately on Facebook only. Facebook. And like how much it would have been shared on
other
like
Twitter
and WhatsApp, that I don't know. Yeah. And most interesting thing I found that argument which I had given in that article, it was even used in parliamentary debate. So that I know in this way. So for example, I made a mistake in the writing article, because I had less information or not proper information. So for example, I wrote there were only 4 scheduled caste judges, and after that like more scheduled caste judge has been appointed, 2 more has been appointed. So if I wrote 4, there should be now 6. So if minister is responding today, if minister is responding how many scheduled caste judges are there has been appointed in Supreme Court, so minister will have to say 6. But if today minister is saying 4, so that indicates that information has been taken from the article. So question was asked in parliament, and someone preparing in ministry search on website, found the article, just copied and pasted it. Did not apply because that is not updated article.
But you did a mistake and they also did.
No, it is not my mistake, because it was written in 2018, and after that,
they appointed.
After that, like 2 more scheduled caste judges has been appointed in judiciary. And also like so for example, I did analysis of data of representation of high courts.
High Court.
and wrote an article that okay, why Bihar and Odisha High Court is not represented in Supreme Court appointment, and it became issue. Like people from Bar, they started saying CGI that oh, why like judges had not been appointed from Bihar, and then some very junior even person was junior, he got appointed. So those kind of impacts are there. Means and many more things like this is one such area where this kind of impact has like
Can be
this
seen
article
clearly, yeah.
clearly, and like inequality, particularly articles which I have written on inequality, that is extensively used to counter like taxation argument. That is also extensively used by people in their everyday conversation. Yeah.
So, like, as we have talked a lot about your research area and other your work that you have written on different platform as well. So, like adding to this, I just want to ask that how do you see the role of social media, which is shaping the political behavior, specifically among the youth, and it is also kind of impacting the electoral dynamics as well.
Yes, so social media is new area like which has massive impact, and in election demo in like
Electoral
in
democracy,
electoral democracies and larger in
moment
study of democracy. So there is separate unit called communication, political communication. There is
for
like
every party.
no. So like when you will read electoral democracy, so there are different areas. So for example, in that there would be voting behavior is one area, then political communication is one area, mobilization is another area. So likewise, it is there are different sub themes, and so social media is like one such theme which is important for political communication. Now, uh, there is a one debate which is said that it is a platform society. So different social media are considered to be a different platform, and people present in social media in that platform are basically a society. So platform society. So platform society. So people like whatever we were in like in our everyday life, those have been from our everyday conversation. We have been taken from everyday conversation like from physical mode to platforms. Virtual mode. So we are on virtual mode. Now, when you have gone on virtual mode, so most important thing is that when we are writing something, we are liking something, writing something, or saying something, actually we are expressing ourselves. And when you are expressing yourself, then you are exposing and exposing to the larger audience that how do we think. And like audience should read one very important book by Jonathan Haidt. It is called The Righteous Mind. It says that how like our mind is getting read actually. People are able to speculate what makes us angry and what makes us happy. And if as a person I am able to know that okay, this thing makes Neeraj happy, I will try to say those things like in public discourse. So that is that is what social media has that change social media has brought up. Now there are arguments about emotional intelligence. So few people might look very intelligent in like in other aspect, but they are not emotionally intelligent. And when they are not emotionally intelligent and they know what makes you angry and what makes you happy, like politicians can extensively use. So for example, just giving you a very good example. around 2000, approximately in 2000, I think Aaj Tak or some news channel ran a campaign, and campaign was like, who is the greatest leader after Mahatma Gandhi
in India.
in India? So that campaign was launched, and as usual, Ambedkar was voted first greatest Indian, and Amitabh Bachchan gave some award to someone finally. Now this is an information. So if as an intelligent politician, as an strategist, if I will find that okay, in India, like this much number of people are saying Ambedkar is the greatest politician, so what as a politician I will do? So as a politician, first lesson I will learn that okay, I have not to say anything against Ambedkar. I will have to like say good thing about him, okay, and that will like make, when I am saying all these things, that does not mean I am saying that Ambedkar is not great person. Just I am telling how like things are going on and how people can be manipulated
by using the emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. So basically, people voting for Ambedkar is basically exposing their emotional affiliation. And if Aaj Tak or some news channel is doing, it has some larger purpose. So
to serve the politicians.
To serve some political party or some political agenda. So parties will also respond accordingly. That okay, if this person has been voted as the greatest person, I think first was Ambedkar and second one would have been Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, would have been second. And now you can see what government did. So government immediately launched like Panchatirth related to Ambedkar, building Panchatirth, and then Sardar Patel's Statue of Unity. So it was not done like things which was done after 2014 or which was promised in election. It was done out of blue without any clue. No, there was like first very systematic mapping of people's brain was done, and then it was promised in election manifestos, and it was repeated in election rallies and other places, and which makes people think that okay, this would be good thing. So that's one thing. Another example you can think of social media, recent use of social media is by one famous tutor, another teacher who teaches coaching institute, BJP. He just literally praised Ambedkar and little bit criticized Gandhi, and people made it viral. So now that person has been teaching since last last 15 or 12, 15 years. I know that 15 years. Okay, in last 15 years that person never gone viral. And who made him viral? People from marginalized community. And this shows basically these are larger trend. And the larger trend which are emerging, basically it is like social media. It has lot of benefits, but basic danger is that it is exposing your vulnerability, emotional intelligence. So emotionally people can use, parties can use, companies can use, and individual can use, invoking emotions and then utilizing for their benefit. So that's a larger I can say
great impact of the social
media on democracy. And
so like we came to kind of the concluding section of this episode. So as a young and great academic, what advice would you like to give to these new aspiring researchers and also the students who are looking to pursue their career in academia and particularly in this political kind of studies?
So like My advice would be looking into new areas. So going out of one's own comfort zone, and student has to, like those who want to pursue their career in academia or even in other field. So one thing is that going through your out of your own, like for example, out of from your own convenient zone and learning new things. Another important thing is that nowadays learning of skill, so upgradation of skill has become very important thing. If you are not upgrading your skills, you would be out of the job market. So that's another thing. So skills are like two kind of. One is technical skill, which is learning new software, new tools of analysis, making analysis, and it is inevitable. So everyone has to learn. So if you are not learning, you will be pushed out of, like out of 4 year 5 year, you will be pushed out. And then learning like soft skills. So yeah, soft skill, speaking, writing, personal communication, presentation, all these things are very important. Like they are becoming very important. So one has to, like these three areas, I think everyone has to start working, and there is no a solution. So if something has worked for like one person, one should not be convinced by that. And also avoiding, like those who are pursuing career in academia, they should be a little bit conscious of going, like avoiding populist measure to become popular or to become that is very short solution. Like 1 or 2 years you would be there in the field. After that, everything is over. So yeah, so to be in like sustaining in global academia, you have
to make constant efforts
to learning new things. Yes, learning new things, new tools, new techniques. Means within 4 years, like 5 year after 2015 onward, I can see. Initially it was said that okay, you should learn SPSS you should learn. Then when I came here, I was told that you have to learn data. I learned data. Now then we were told after 2 years, no. Now the trend is in R, you have to learn. Then Python you need to learn. Then there was debate on, okay, there is another software called SQL kind of thing. You need to learn. So basically field is constantly changing in terms of skills. One has to upgrade oneself. So if you are able to do, then you will survive in the academia. Elsewhere, you will be pushed out.
Yes. To conclude this episode, like for sharing insight and so many things, like you have already said, but before we wrap up this episode, is there any upcoming project, any idea, that event or something very kind of exciting that you would like our audience to be aware of? Your field.
Yeah, so for example, like I am now executive council member of BASAS, and I hope in upcoming like near future there are this institution organized several conferences and annual conferences, and I will like to organize anything. Like I would request people to visit the website of BASAS and other organizations, and if any event will get organized, they will come to know via that.
Yeah, that's very kind of important thing for a researcher to know about this BASAS, because it's a very prominent institute as well.
Yes.
So one should learn about it as well, and also try to present their work at this platform. As a executive member, you would be a kind of a key kind of figure there, and kind of also a helpful resource there. So also, like adding to this discussion also, as we are already concluding, but I just want to know that, is there any kind of a books that you would like to advise for any researcher and students to read about, basic books? that you have liked so much and you think that everybody
Yes,
should read?
like three books I like
Recommend.
too much. Like if anyone wants to read general books, so this book was eye-opening for me, which I mentioned, The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. It
Nathan,
was
yeah.
eye-opening book for me. And also there are two literary books which I prefer, suggest everyone to read. One is Siddharth by German author Hermann Hesse, which is written on like conflict between emotional and rational conflict between Gautam Buddha, Siddharth mind, which is related with Gautam
great.
Buddha. That's very good work. One should read. I think it is written in very good English also, so one should read that book also. And also I prefer to read, suggest one other literary work which was by Khalil Gibran on the Prophet. So that's also very good book. One should read that I recently come across. Yeah.
So on this note, thank you, Dr. Arvind, for coming to our channel and sparing some time from your busy schedule and to discuss about all this, your research insight and everything. So thank you again.
Thank you, Neeraj, for providing me opportunity to share my thought on your channel Thinkers Corner. I wish you very luck for successful of this endeavor which you have taken. And also I will request viewers to suggest like your friends and well-wishers about this channel and ask them to subscribe this channel. And like you would be, like I know Neeraj, he would bring more people, more intellectual scholars and activists who are working in different areas and will introduce you. And probably with that, you might come to know diversity of the people and their work. And along with that, you can like when you will get introduced to different people, you can communicate with them also. So
Yes,
thank you,
yes, thank you so much. And to our viewers, if you have any questions or thought, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for more thought-provoking discussions on the Thinkers Corner. Bye bye. Take care.